اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق وقاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق وهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره مقدار العظيم. اللهم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق وقاتم سبق ناصر الحق بالحق وهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدر مقدار العظيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما. الحمد لله رب العالمين. أفضل الصلاة وتم تسليما على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. ورضي الله تعالى عن السادة التابعين وعلماء عاملين وأئمة أربعين مجتهدين مقلديهم إلا يوم الدين. أما بعد. الحمد لله رب العالمين. This is another the Soullutionz podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Imam Muhammad Abdullah Ameen, along with Amir Khalil, Abdullahi, Imam Malik Robinson, and brother Saleh Abdul Mujeeb. Tonight, our discussion tonight is on what's the topic?
The topic is actions speak louder than words.
Actions speak louder than words. Action speaks louder than words. Action speaks louder than words is a number of topics. Practice what you preach. I think that was the original topic that we was gonna talk about. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. What's up, Tariq? He on YouTube chiming in. I mean, so I'm driving myself. That's why I got my avatar up here. Trying to make it to the crib. But yeah. So what is it again? I ain't practice what you preach. It's
actions speak louder than words.
Actions speak louder than words. Well, you know they call that talk. They call that talk is cheap. You know what I'm saying? But your actions dictates your words and behavior. I mean, the heart dictates your actions. I mean, and your words. All right. So if you say it, I mean, it's already in your heart. You're gonna act on it eventually anyway. I mean, so, but this era, a time that we live in the time of claimers. Everybody claiming something, not realizing that Allah Ta'ala gonna expose your claim or who you are. You know, so just like Allah Ta'ala would expose the individual's intentions. You know what I'm saying? And they will believe that people believe that they tricking everybody, but when Allah Ta'ala bless someone with farasa, I mean, which is deep penetrating foresight, deep penetrating insight, you see right through that stuff, and they just pay attention to how you move. I mean, how a Fed move. You know how a Fed move the way they, you know what I'm saying. You know how Feds move. So when the actions display how Feds move, you know it when you see it. Just like all good game peeps all game. I don't care what type of language or culture that is in. When you know the game is being run, you're gonna see it. You're gonna see it in the actions. You're gonna see it in the demeanor. You're gonna know the body language. You're gonna read the body language when you see it. So you're gonna know. You're gonna know.
Alhamdulillah.
Assalamu alaikum wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So, inshallah ta'ala, Saleh, you can go ahead and chime in, man. So while I
Alhamdulillah.
try to
Get where you going. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Once again, everybody, all the viewers, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The reason why, right, I identified, I wanted to speak on this issue, as Abu Muhammad said, is a broad thing, right? It's a broad thing. He named so many other terminologies that it means, right? And the reason why I said that, right, because we say we stand on business. Are we really standing on business? We say we're speaking out against a particular group, but are we speaking out against everyone? What do our actions do? Do our actions support what we talking about, or we just talking because we got two lips and a tongue, right? So this is what I really wanted to talk about, right? And as we see, the big problem that we are having now is that we're doing selective argument views, right? That we're picking a particular group, we're picking this, and we're saying they ain't this, they ain't that. But in reality, our own backyard is filthy, right? We talking about this person, but in terminology, or how we speak, we would say, "But you still in bed? You still in bed with the enemy, right? You're still in bed with the enemy, right? We're going to speak out against everything that is harming our people and the Muslims. Then we need to speak out against everything. And do your actions support that you want to speak out about this, or is it for some other hidden agenda, or do you have ulterior motives?" Right? Because we all hear the narration of the Prophet ﷺ when he said, "Innamal a'malu binniyat." Right? These are based upon intentions. What's your intentions? What are you really trying to get at? What are you really trying to do? Because what you're saying, your actions ain't supporting that. Right? Your actions ain't supporting that. And this is one of the major problems we are having with our ummah. No matter what branch you say you are, from the Salafis to the Ahl Sunnah, right? Our actions ain't supporting what we talking about, right? It seems like we're talking just because we want to talk, or we're talking because we have an ulterior motive. What is our motive, right? What is our motive? Are we doing things to get these little funny little hearts and smiles, right, on our posts, or are we doing it when we have these lives? You want all these little bubbly little hearts popping up and these bubbly little laughing emojis popping up? Are we doing it for that, or are we sincerely doing it because we want to save our people, and we know that we came from a place before that that was destructive, right? Because if we look at it, we have so many problems in the African American community, right? So many problems, from drug addiction, right, to zina, to murder. I'm not going to say death, to murder. Murder is praised in our community, right? The streets is praised in our community. You go around to, certain communities, you don't really see these little, 16, 17, 18-year-old young boys in there. But Mom Dukes all got the niqab on. Dad got the throw ball way up to the middle of his knees with with the kufi and the matching socks and the nice Jordans, or the nice Air Maxes, you know what I mean? He has all of that, right? But look at the kids. The kids got hair weave. Young boy got a Pusheisty mask on in 100-degree weather, running around with a Glock, with a 30-round magazine or 50-round drum in it, right? What are we doing? We can honestly say, well, we raised our kids to the best of our ability. No, we didn't, because we're talking about our people, right? I remember when, Abu Muhammad can vouch, or whoever can vouch, speak on it when they get on here. I remember when it was a point in time where everybody knew everybody on your block, right? You knew everybody on your block, right? I could go, I could just run in Miss Catherine's house. I'm just using names, Excuse me. I could just run in Miss Catherine's house. Hey, is what you call it up? Yeah, he upstairs. I'll run upstairs, go mess with so and so. And he could do the same thing. Mr. Thomas, he sell water ices. We run to Mr. Thomas' house. Come on in. You give us water ices. Or he fixed the bikes. You know what I mean? Everybody knew everybody. You were scared to do something because somebody would go run and tell your mama. Your mama disciplined everybody outside. And then when she called the other parents would discipline everybody outside. The problem is now it takes a village to raise children. We don't have a village no more. We don't even know anybody on our block. You go outside right now, no neighbors is hanging with each other. You don't even know what your kids is doing. You don't even know what your kids is doing. You know, I was sitting outside one day drinking my nice little cup of coffee. I think it was from Dunkin' Donuts because I was popped that day. I was broke that day. I think it was Dunkin' Donuts. It was Jumu'ah. So yeah, I was waiting to go to, to jump in the car to go to Jumu'ah. And I'm happy. I see these little kids, right? They got their Imam on, right? Wrapped around his head all nice, thobe on. And I think it was him and his brother. They're running the Jumu'ah. They're on their way to Jumu'ah. And then you see the mother and the dad, they just go in the house like it was nothing. Mom ain't covered, dad, got some leggings on. Leggings on in the red hat to be exact. He got some leggings on in the red hat. But the kids is going to Jumu'ah. Right? So what are we doing? Right? Is our actions supporting what we talking about? Because what it's showing, our actions ain't speaking louder than these words. We just talking. We just talking. So, how do you feel about what I said, Abu Muhammad? You there?
Hold
I
on.
guess he's. No, go ahead. You're still driving. I still talk.
Yeah, I'm still driving. I haven't got to my destination yet.
Yeah, I jumped. That's that PTSD, man. It's a shame, isn't it? Isn't it a shame that what we suffer from? You hear these noises and you jump in PTSD. Just think about it. These fireworks, inshallah ta'ala. I wish I could show y'all. He's probably out now. Oh no, he still got it, but they're almost done. But that's the last one. I miscounted. But like I said, anyone who's on social media now, you can see things, right? I'm trying to wait for the other brothers to come on so we can have, a collective conversation where all of us can talk about it. But yeah, for the most part, that summarized what the top is going to be, And it's going to be, we're going to support it with Quran, we're going to support it with Hadith, we're going to support it with all these type of things. But this conversation is basically for us to talk about what's really going on, right? Because sometimes we need to really hear the real. We don't need these imams for hire. We don't need these imams who has an objective, who trying to go in your pockets. We don't need these imams who, saying you need to do one thing, and really your well-being is not their concern, right? It's not their concern. You know what I mean? So we need to really start talking about these issues and what's really going on in our community. Why are we divided? Why are we truly divided? Right? And really what's really going on? What's really going on out here? And then, and we got to come up with some sort of solution to this issue, right? And it may take fight, it may take, a real fight, I don't mean like real fight, well, physical, but, a real fight, a real battle, it may take that, it may take a lot of your time, it may take a lot of your finances, but inshallah ta'ala, we'll get through this, but we have to start cleaning up. We got to start cleaning up. We got to start speaking out against each other. We got to start being a reminders to each other. We got to start saying, bro, you tripping, bro. Oh, you did that, bro. We got to start being brothers to each other. Right? Because so far, we're not being brothers to each other. We're really being backdoor people. Compare, the new slogan, the new thing, as we said, is backdooring each other. We all trying to get to be this top dog. Abu Muhammad once said, in one of his posts, he said that the best leader was ex-gang members. Right? Because they understood protocol. They understood their position. They understand to step up when you got to step up. And if you ain't got to step up, you just play your role to the best of your ability. And you doing it for the objective, the common goal. And that's to make us progress. Right? That's to make us progress. Not for you to follow me and for me not to do anything, not to do anything just for my own benefit. No, this is to benefit all of us. We understood that. And the problem is we ain't got no soldiers no more. We don't have any soldiers. Our leaders ain't even soldiers. The Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was in the battlefield. None of our leaders right now is willing to go out there and really get their knuckles, their knuckles scarred up and bloody, right? They want the flunky to go out there and do it. And when he do it and get caught up, he want him not to say nothing. And and if something happens, he could throw one of the flunkies underneath the bus to protect themselves, right? This is the era we in. So we got to figure out what we need to do, right? We need to make our actions speak louder than our words. We need to show by our actions that we're sincere about what's going on, So Abu Muhammad, what's going on, man? You still driving? What's up?
Give me a few minutes. I'm parking.
You parking? Alhamdulillah. So I'm gonna look at some of these. If you have any comments or questions, I'm gonna give everybody the salams that I say. Malik Muhammad, assalamu alaikum. Abdul Hakim, assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum salam wa Malik wa alaikum salam wa one user says, my neighbor won't even speak, not even a basic hello back, hello back. It's sad. You're absolutely right. It's sad, and it's going to continue to be sad. It's going to continue to be sad. And somebody said it's just fireworks, brother. Right? But at first I didn't know it was fireworks. I thought it was real life smoke. Abdul Hakim said the value families and connect to society is deteriorating. You're absolutely right. And you know why it's deteriorating? It's deteriorating because of lack of sincerity, right? The lack of sincerity. We're marrying now, right? And we're gonna keep it a buck. See, I got the hat back. I got the hat on backwards, so Mr. Petty Draws is in. Mr. Petty Draws is in the building. So, and I don't care who feelings are hurt today. I really don't care. Right? I still love you, but I gotta get in your butt, whether you male or female. Majority of the marriages that's going on in society right now, the divorces is coming from the women. The women can sit here and say, no, they're not. No, they're not. Soon as the brother leave the toilet seat down, soon as the brother leave a sock on the floor, you want kula, you want kula, you want kula, you want kula. So now the mother who is going to be raising our children is not even in it for the longevity. And if she is doing it for the longevity, it's only for what this man is offering. That this man got the bag. He got the money. Because now it's not about love anymore. It's about the bag. It's about if we could go on trips. Because if you really think about it, you go through social media now, you'll see a lot of women saying, I don't want kids. I want a man who kids is grown. A man is going to be a man. A man is going to have kids as long as he still is able to hump. Excuse my French. He's going to have children. He's going to procreate. And you saying that you don't want a man who want to procreate because you can't, whatever you did, because you was hurt about a brother that you was with. You was hurt about a brother you was with. You went and got your tubes tied, cut and burnt. You can't have kids no more. And you don't want him having no kids because you want to enjoy life. Then go enjoy life by yourself. Because a man is going to procreate. Life doesn't stop because you want him to stop doing it because you want him to stop. And to be honest with you, even if a man want to go get a co-wife, it ain't none of your business whatever contract he got going on with the other wife. The other wife can say, brother, I want you to give me $30 a month. And he can marry for whatever reason it is. If you butt hurt for whatever situation it is, tough luck. But a lot of our women, they ain't in it for the longevity no more. They in it for some sort of gain, whether it's get their bills paid, get a couple dollars in their pocket, whatever it is, or even maybe you want to marry your brother who has some sort of social status. You want to marry your brother who's a student of knowledge, right? And you ain't want to learn nothing. You still want to sit and watch TV. You still want to scroll down Instagram. You still want to be on Facebook, right? But you want somebody who has social status, right? That validate you, right? And this is the problem we having now, right? And now let's talk about the men, right? The men, I can't sit here and say men need to step up, because to be honest with you, a lot of these sisters are choosing these weirdo men. There's a lot of solid men out here that's willing to love a woman, to take care of a woman, to be this, to do that for a woman, right? And if you marry that sucker, then you gotta expect all type of sucker stuff that come along with that marriage. Acceptance go a long way. You marry that turkey. You marry that turkey. You marry that bird. You went and said, "Yo, I'm gonna sit here." You calling all over the place to find a brother to marry y'all because you're the wakil that you had before. Like, yo, this brother weirdo, but you like this weirdo, so you kick you kick your wakil to the curb. Now you trying to marry this brother. You trying to find every Tom, Dick, and Harry to marry you off to this brother, and then you marry off to this brother. You find out the brother pick his nose, eat his boogies, fart on his hand, and smell his finger, and now you mad about it. You know, so you got a turkey. That's your fault. You married that turkey. So a turkey gonna be a turkey. You can't turn a turkey into a dog. So I don't feel sorry for somebody marrying a lane. You pick the lane. Imam Khalil, what's going on, Habibi?
Assalamu alaikum, salam alaikum.
Alaikum salam to love.
Alhamdulillah, I was just listening, man. I'm just, collecting my thoughts. I'm listening.
You're collecting your thoughts, yeah, you know.
Because the title is given a broad, it's like kind of like broad, and it leaves things in that way. And some of the things sound like you at the gun range, man.
I just said the same thing. That's fireworks. I just said PTSD. I kind of jumped, looked, and everything. You know,
it sounded like you had the gun range. No, if it was in the hood shooting, it'd be a lot more shots behind that, a little more rapid fire.
Yeah,
usually, you know. But yeah, a lot of my thoughts are all over the place, and I know. What I want to discuss and what I'm going to say it's a problem.
Now, what that sound like?
Now that sound like shots because it was a couple back to back. But anyway, it's what I want to say, what I want to mention tonight is dealing with a few, contemporary issues. I've opened my Facebook. Looked on Facebook and it looked like
I'm back on.
Okay,
yeah, I don't know what happened. Yeah.
It looked like there's an ideological war jumping off, So, and it makes me, think. Walaikum salam, for a long time I ain't seen you in the comments. And it looks kind of crazy right now. Everybody's going crazy, and and I know everybody has the interest. Of the interest of the community at large, but I think it's time to try something different.
Nah, man, don't sugarcoat it. Don't sugarcoat it. Don't be the imam. Don't be the imam. You got best interest at heart. Right now, a lot of brothers ain't got our best interests at heart, man. A lot of people ain't standing on business. Let's call a spade a spade. Y'all said y'all want Mr. Petty draws out, right? Let's call a spade a spade. People ain't standing on business. People out here getting mad at posts. People are saying other things when we are phone calls away. People could call us, but think about it like this. I'm sorry for cutting you off, but no, we're gonna talk about
right, DJ.
I put a post out that said, I said that the big homie is the big home. Just because the young G don't agree with the big homie, don't make him not the big homie. Just that we don't agree on the situation, but we still gonna slide for the common cause, right? So at the end of the day, I'm still gonna ride with these brothers. So I love them. I love brothers for the sake of Allah. But what I'm not gonna do is allow people to say certain stuff or to do certain things when the motive, you don't love me, how what you say you do. You love us for the sake of Allah, right? Then we phone calls away, right? You don't take shots at somebody because somebody says something. We don't stand on business. People ain't out here working when people out here sacrificing themselves and doing things for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nah, it don't work like that. So certain people, best interest ain't our best interest. It ain't our best interest. It's not. They have an ulterior motive. We don't, now we could say we don't know what their ulterior motive is, but we know it's something behind it. You know? So let's call it spade a spade. We here to talk about what's really going on. We really want to fix these situations. We got to clean our backyard. We got to clean our backyard. How you feel about it, Malik? You said you want petty draws out. The hat backwards. What's up, man? I don't want everybody up here being super Imam, super, you know, use hadith to support your argument. But we need to talk about what's going on.
Well, you always got to keep it decorum.
Gotta keep it decorum, right?
Yeah,
y'all hear me?
Keep it decorum. Yeah, nah.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. So tonight's topic, actions speak louder than words. It reminds me of a verse of the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in Surah Saf. Turn that down. Well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Saf, he says, Ba'ad a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. Lima taquluna ma la taf'alun. Kabura maqtan inda Allahi an taqulu ma taf'alun. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, "O you who believe." So this is an address to the believers. It's not talking to the munafiqeen, the mushrikeen, it's to the believers. So it's already established that we have Imam, we believe. So Allah says, "Oh, you who believe, why do you say that which you do not do?" It is most hated to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to say that which you do not do. So I feel that fits in the theme of actions speak louder than words, because we follow a prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, like Saleh was saying. The prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was a warrior, he was a mujahid. The prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in one battle, the battle of this was the battle of Hunain, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, I believe it's in Surah Anfal or Surah Tawbah, but it mentions how the large numbers, this was the first time the Muslim army had large numbers, like 10 or 12,000. And Allah said, your large numbers deceived you. So, you know, a large number of the army of the companions were you know, they were retreating and running back. And this is the courage of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He's running in the thick of the battle. And he's asking them, where to? He said, Ana Muhammad, I am Muhammad. I am, you know, the son of Abdullah, the son of Abdul Muttalib. I'm the messenger of Allah. And he's fleeing into the thick of the battle. And the companions, they didn't have any option yet to run in to protect the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So if we follow a man like that, who was willing to risk his life for the cause, for the message of why that he's preaching, then how is it that we're just sitting around talking? We've been reduced to people who just sit online, and I'm not exempt from this. I sit online all day myself. May Allah make me better. We sit online now. We become theological warriors. We sit and debate and talk about Aqidah and this, that, and third. And now we know that we're, Ahl Sunnah. We practice tasawwuf. We believe in, the school of Imam Abu Hassan al-Ashri, Abu Mansurat al-Maturidi. We believe in this, no doubt. And, the Hanbali school, we won't, downplay, rule that out, the also. But we was talking about this earlier. It's like we've become the polar opposite of the other corner of the Salafis, because now you have people who are claiming Ahl Sunnah who are saying, if you don't say you're Ashari, then you're deviant. So how are we better than the Wahhabiyah? Because we're doing the same thing that they're doing now. And like I said, it's been reduced to just sitting around talking. We're talking. We're saying I'm Ashari, I'm Maturidi, I'm Qadri, I'm Tijani, I'm this, I'm that, all this the things. I'm talking about Ijaza and Senate and all this, but we just sitting around talking. Meanwhile, we got our boys, some of our boys running around. They're homosexuals. Some of our girls, studs and lesbianism. Not talking about, I'm talking about Muslim. Our children are in the streets. They caught up with this drill music and drill rap. They killing each other. We see every Eid, especially here in Philly. Every Eid, we see them rumbling, fighting each other. So What are we doing to combat that? How was us sitting down on the rug or sitting on Facebook or Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, talking about Akida? How is that solving our problems? How is it that the masjid is empty? We don't have the youth. We have women, who are being abused and battered, don't have anywhere to go. All of these things. We're losing our people to the streets, to the dunya. But we just sitting around talking. You ain't Ashri, you ain't knowing it. You a demon. You ain't Wahhabi. You ain't Salafi. You off it. You a demon. We just talking. But I just mentioned the man Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam who believed so much what he preached that he was willing to die for it. And the same was his companions, the rightly guided, the Khulafa Rashidun, Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, and Ali, and the other 6 companions promised Jannah. They was dying in the battlefield. They was sacrificing everything. So how was it? The people was coming to Islam just by the character of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and by his actions. By his actions, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he once gave so much till he alleviated man's poverty, and the man said, "You should believe in Muhammad because he gives so much to the point that you won't fear poverty." What a win, but we have no Islamic, no schools, and I'm talking about us as black people, not the Indo-Paks, the Bengalis, the Arabs, the Lebanese. I'm talking about us, black people, African American Muslims that have been Muslims here for over 50, 60 years. What do we got? No hospitals, no Muslim graveyards, no Islamic schools. We have nothing tangible, no jobs that we're giving out to our brothers and sisters that's coming out of incarceration or struggling. So we just sitting around talking. And I'm passionate when I talk. I can't talk and be like calm because like it really, bubbles my blood. So my pressure is up probably right now. So I'm gonna just stop right there. And another one of the brothers can chime in, but we definitely got to do better. And Allah knows best.
Hey, yo, Malik, you hit the Booker T on him. Hulk Hogan, we coming for you, ninja.
Now, I wanted
you already
mention, I wanted to mention about, a couple of, I got a couple of phone calls from brothers that asked me who was I talking about when I had mentioned, put up the post. The best Muslim leader, the best Muslim leader was a former gang leader, right? I was talking about a few people. Now, people who was in the comments, they was mentioning about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I wasn't talking about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. However, where I come from, Chicago, the gangs don't identify themselves as gangs. They identify themselves as tribes, street tribes, or a nation. Each one of their names, it has the letter N at the end for nation, right? They have concepts and bylaws and constitutions and everything that related to their concept of what they believe, what they're building, what they're fighting for. Many of the gang leaders that I know that became Muslim, and they're Muslim, they're leaders in Islam. They exemplified the same type of character before Islam. They exemplify in Islam now as an Imam now, or an Amir, right? You know what I'm saying? And it relates to the narration to where it says the best in Jahiliyyah will be the best in Islam. With understanding, meaning that after you have understanding, you're going to be the best. So the same type of effort that you put into before Islam, you put that same effort in, and they never stopped the ball. They never stopped the ball rolling, right? They never stopped the ball rolling. One imam that I know for without a doubt that the community, they married and they intermarried each other. Right? They intermarried each other. They established businesses. They established security firms. They had property. So much property that Sammy Davis Jr. was donating money. Certain reverends in the community, they was donating property. Right? They had networks to where they was trying to help people clean themselves up. I put up a post with a sister strung out on drugs, but we're sitting here talking about identifying with Salafi, Ashari, Maturidi, Hanbali, when the same social ills is killing our people. killing our people, Muslims and non-Muslim alike, and we're not doing anything about it. The youth is killing each other in the street, and nobody coming out of the masjids to go straight to the street and try to, you know what I'm saying, assist and give nasiha to these young brothers and sisters that's on the street corner.
Muhammad, you see that question?
I can't even see it.
It says gangs came. It's asking the question really. Did gangs come from the Black Panther Party?
Well, you know what I'm saying, they it's claimed that the Crips and the Bloods came from the Black Panther Party, but the Black Panther Party itself metamorphosed from gangs. You mean members of the bishops and the jostlers and I forget, you know what I'm saying, I forgot the rest of the names. It was like 4 different gangs. And some of them members of them gangs, they became Muslim too, but the Black Panther Party came from them as well, and then metamorphosed back into the, you know what I'm saying, the bastards. They called them the bastards of the movement, the Bloods and the Crips. But I'm not. That's in L.A. I'm talking about where I come from.
He's mentioning here. They also mention. I'm sorry, I can't see all this as a Facebook user. So if I say she and you're he, forgive me. It said the original plan was to help people. If so, the organization of gangs. They weren't recognized in that same manner back then. They became gangs once the criminal element kind of like got into it. They got that name attached to it.
Once the drug epidemic came into our communities, that's when it was recognized as criminal activities after that.
Now hold on, I want to add something to that when I get a chance. Give me a second.
They was recognized as gangs once the police recognized them as gangs. The first mayor Daley of Chicago, Richard M. Daley, which they dubbed him "Shoot 'em up Daley," shoot to kill Daley, because he told all of the police in the downtown area, if you see any black people coming down in the loop to like disrupt things, shoot them on sight, shoot to kill. He come from the gang, from an Irish gang called the Hamburgers, and you know what I'm saying, and many and they didn't identify themselves as a gang. They identified themselves as a social club. As a social club. But they, they was involved in so many things. Then they got into politics, and as a result, the Hamburgers who got into politics, they pulled their adversaries, their enemies, into politics as well. That's why any organization, when the vice lords was incorporated in the late 50s, early 60s, they, there was a not-for-profit organization. They was incorporated. And the Black Panthers had formed the chapter in Chicago, the Black Panther chapter. They had formed around that time, and they was working with the LSDs, the Lord Stones and Disciples, to politicize them.
One thing I want to say, because you're talking about this, which is good, because it helps transition. It's almost like a segue, right? If you look at Islam in America as well, they're almost set up where there's a rival right across from the other one, right? If there was, there'll be one group of Muslims here that's claiming to be, Orthodox, Sunni Muslims, right? And the next group will come. You had the Qadianis, right? Yeah, the Qadianis right there. Qadianis merged with some of the beliefs of the NOI, right? And transition, NOI was still there. And then what I'm finding out too from like Dr. Muhammad Ahmed, which I had the opportunity to meet him. He was one of the elders that, one of the elders that was Sunni Muslim way back, even before Malcolm converted, here in Philadelphia. I had the opportunity to meet him. But there was always an opposing party. Now, as you started to transition, in the formulation, because the we understood the concept, and people used to advocate, you got to organize, you got to organize, you got to organize, right? And so then the embracing and embracing what do you call it, jamaats, the concept of a jamaat, a community base, is usually you got a group of people together and they adapt the idea and the ideology and they move forward, right? So and this was also pushed, and this early on around that time where it's pushed about self-identity, right? As we begin to move away from that, and I'm skipping, and I know I'm skipping over some other groups because you had the other groups like the what was it, the Hanafiya that you had with Khalis, I think his name was Khalis Ahmed, the one whom the gangsters from NOI, from the gangsters from Philly, they killed him and his, basically, killed his children, his wife and everything, drowned them and so on and so forth. This stuff played a major part. Used to have the MIB, Mosque Islamic Brotherhood, where Imam Talib is actually the Imam of that masjid now, versus the Ansars. And, you had all of these groups and this transition in this fighting, right? And I made a comment this morning talking about this. And so, a lot of complaints that you have from the young, like, they didn't include the youth in the program, what's going on. But Islamically, the transition after a certain point, now, don't get me wrong, I'm not creating a whole entire timeline, because we're trying to, walaikum salam, because, we gotta be as much as possible, as brief as possible. So we're not going to, go down and give a whole chronological timeline, with that transition. So there might be groups that's left out. So, don't flood the comments later or call me, man, how dare you forget, we was on the scene doing this, there's a point that we're trying to reach. And so then you had people, and there was people dying behind it, right? Dying, and shot, stabbed, hit in the head, meat cleavers, baseball bats, and so on and so forth, and this isn't foreign to humanity, because even when you look at Islam, when the Prophet ﷺ, especially when he went to Medina, he brought together two warring fractions by his presence, of course, with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the Prophet ﷺ, he brought together the Aus and the Khazraj, two fighting tribes that was fighting in Yathrib, right? Or Medina, which it later became known. So you always have a party or a group that's in opposition. And so then, there was so when the community led by Imam Muhammad early on, they were referred to as the Orthodox community, and they were supposed to be different, than the NOI. But some of the beliefs changed, but there were some things that the Imam expressed that shared the same sentiments as the NOI. Like the NOI has a problem with the belief in the hereafter, about Akhir, about Yom al-Akhir, right? And there was statements, where the Imam and some of his followers, they make mockery of the concept of Yom al-Akhir, the mu'jizat, the miracles of the prophets, right? And no. I said MIB, them, and they used to war with the Ansar. Oh yeah, so I forgot you. I forgot you was on the other side for a little while, huh? But no, they, and so they used to have beef with each other. It's not no secret. So, but anyway, they were recognized at that time. And so what's happening now is, when they were referring to themselves as, the Orthodox Muslims or Sunnis and so on and so forth, this is what you call it? Hold on. So man, I just lost my whole train of thought. Oh, so anyway, so that transition was there, and there was a lot of that beef brewing, then the conspiracy, the plot behind killing Malcolm, all of these things were happening. So what you found in our communities is that there's always something that can always tip people to go to the other side. Now, the problem with that is that the argument is growing more and more in to theological aspects, right? Like I know, and Malik, you can confirm this, when we talk to a lot of the elders here in the city, and many of them, they weren't W.D. Muhammad. They were, Sunni Muslims. They, a lot of them from the Dar and so on and so forth. And they used to literally, one brother told me, yo, we used to literally train to fight these dudes. Am I lying, Malik? Old has told you that. We literally trained to fight the NOI. Matter of fact, the history how it was divided up. It was divided up on Philly. On the north side of Market Street in West Philly, the Ansar was on that side and they couldn't come past Market Street. It was really like divided up like that, right? And so a lot of the history, a lot of stuff people talk about, with the history with regards to Philadelphia, there's a certain temperament that you rile people up, they'll tip and go that other way. You had the gangster Muslims, you had the NOI, you had the Wafdeen followers, you had the Dar, right? The Dar was was proactive because their creed, their mantra was about establishing Allah's deen, right? All of these other groups that come along, they're not even talking about establishing Allah's deen no more. They talking about, you following their particular methodology and minhaj. It ain't got nothing to do with the deen no more, right? You even got into the point now where, you can always tell the direction of where the community is going by how the women are presented, and how the Imam defines the men, right? God's honest truth. If you're always sitting around and you bashing men, right, and you're kind of always putting them down, first of all, black men, a lot of black men, they're not getting no money. That's number one. And if you want to like how everybody likes to popularize and talk about Philadelphia is one of the largest, most impoverished cities. I think the only thing the difference between Philadelphia and Kingston, Jamaica is we just might be just a slight, a tidbit over the line of poverty. There's no difference between the two. And so, and this is why you'll find that the atmosphere is totally different. A lot of people are illiterate. They're getting degrees, but they can't read. They can't comprehend. They have that remember Obama made that no child left behind? People literally are illiterate and can't read. And so here all of these things are coming, right? And these books are being sold. Most of these books are being translated, and they're really sold, in order to someone to get their theses off of, right? And then later on they publish it to put out in the public, right? And the books that happen to be on the same level as newspaper writing, those are the books that's popular, right? And everybody has access and able to read. So, but anyway, so here it is now. We're making that transition. As time going, they're still making that transition. So now what's happening is that people, alaikum salam, you want to qualify and give a definition of what a Sunni Muslim is, and then now it gets more and more into polemics, right? Now, this issue that you're dealing with is dealing with the sciences from amongst the deen, right? Now, the thing that pushes away, and I always say this, I think if we move away from the background of foreign influence and start looking into things that are more relevant, and pressing to the situation that you have, you'll start to see a change. So you had to unleash the movement with the petrodollars behind it, pushing, and the little pamphlets started coming out. The smaller books started coming out. They kept changing their name. Everybody changes their name when they got a group. No matter what they're on, most groups were recognized by their organizational name starting at the 1900s, right? When you had the Mahdiya movement out of the Sudan, there was the Ansar community, right? You had early on in the early 1900s, they were recognized as the Wahhabi movement. Then later on, they graduated to being the Dawah, the Salafiyah, and then the Salafiyah movement, and so on and so forth. And so then you have it today, and you're reverting back, and people are saying, just identify them as, as Wahhabi, etc. Right? This is just what's going on now. I'm not doing this stuff just to, just to like throw this information out there. But what's happening now is, I can tell you from my personal experience in Philadelphia with that entire thing, and people and those who know will recognize and they know and they can vouch for it. When we were hot into that whole debating and entanglement of the whole Sunni versus Salafi thing, it got to a point in Philly where my life was threatened, right? It got to a point where people were, talking about, bringing firearms. It got to that point, right? And so a lot of people are like, oh no, these people are. So and when I say this, I don't mean this in a bad way. People are looking and trying to hold on to something. The same thing, the same ideology, and people don't just, despite how you tell a story, people don't just walk around Philly just shooting each other. A lot of times, these Muslims that shooting other Muslims, they in the streets together. And when you look at each other, you can't tell each other as Muslim. That's God's honest truth. And you just can't assume just because you in Philly, everybody's Muslim. No, usually when a person gives you the salam, you return the salam. This ain't one of them joints like, I wonder if he's NOI or not. It's usually when they give you the salam, they Muslim, right? But you have people that are struggling and they're trying to make that transition. They're trying to leave the streets and they're trying to be good Muslims at the same time. And then here it is, you're coming and you're trying to change things, but you're not doing it in a tactful manner. And there's a thing with Amr bil Ma'ruf wa Nahy al Munkar, right? When you're enjoining the good and forbidding the evil, there's a principle that's mentioned that if it's going to cause greater harm, then you shouldn't pursue it. And that, because you can always move somewhere else and call the people, and those people who want to find the truth, they're going to make their way to you. They're going to make their way to you regardless. But because of the confrontational nature that we learn and is passed down and is edged on by shaitan, and you're young and you're ambitious and so on and so forth, it pushes you, and you be like, yeah, and I'm in your face. And that's that's not a reflection of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? Because our activism has always been in your face. Yeah, take that, whitey, and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. That's always been our way, right? And so as you've seen it, now I'm looking, it's random people. It's people now, you're giving khutbahs, it's people now attending your masjid that is, they on the opposite, they playing on the opposite team. Now they're attending your Juma and things of that nature. But it was an eye-opening experience for people when people start to learn the difference and, started to attend classes where you were dealing with the creed of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, right? There were people that were actually, sitting in, listening, and things of that nature. And there was some people that was just coming in to be hecklers and start drama, right? And so, but when we got to that point, where we were located at the time in South Philly. The people that were in South Philly, there's a whole masjid that was that was started and is still up and running and is a very popular masjid. The masjid was started to get away from us. Meaning at the time, myself, Ahmed, and Imam Naeem, because we were at the forefront at the leadership of it. This masjid is still in existence, right? So this thing happened.
Put a name on it. Put a name on it.
I put no name on it. It's not important, because what happens is sometimes we put names on things, you draw people's attention to it, right? So if they go find it, they find it on their own. But I'm not gonna be the GPS or the directory to lead you to those individuals. That's the only reason why I ain't putting the name on it.
No, I ain't saying the individual, but tell because this is a story to be told. This is a story to be told.
Before that masjid, they had a little musalla on 20th or 23rd in Tasker, right down the street from where I was living at. Right there. I was living on like Fernon. Anything. So at that time, that was their move. A lot of them, some of them were corner boys, some of them weren't. Right. And they were trying to get a whole nother musalla. So they didn't want that kind of drama either. They was trying to get away. But there were some that was still going to that masjid, and they were going to another masjid that was out of Southwest Philly. And they went to they went to South Philly, right? Southwest Philly. We were in South Philly. They were in Southwest Philly. They went to that masjid. They would go to that masjid, and they were having classes. And there were people that would go. They didn't really have an allegiance. They would go to wherever knowledge was at, because that was the thing that was being promoted. Like, you got to get with Ilm, and people was all about that. You got to go where the knowledge is at. You got to go where the knowledge is at, right? And you would see all types of people in classes. So one brother, I remember one brother called me particularly. He was like, man, yo, they up here. They just mentioned you by name in this class. And they told the brothers not to take knowledge from you or salam you. Taking knowledge and giving you the salams is like equivalent to giving salams to Hamza Yusuf. And I just laughed. I was like, really? It was like, yeah, yo, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, subhanAllah. Well, I was like, you know what? I was like, I guess at that time, you know, I guess I don't know if that's an honor, you know, or is it really disrespectful or whatever the case is. So anyway, this was coming. Now it's coming back. Now it's coming back to the masjid where we at. I'm leading the prayer. No, this night I didn't lead the prayer. Somebody else led the prayer. I think I got there late. So they went ahead and prayed without me. I get to the masjid. The brother was praying. You know, there was one brother particularly. He was in the masjid. He was praying. I was standing next to him. And his son was in between us. And this little boy was probably like 6 or 7 years old, right? And so we're praying, you know, and the little boy, you know what I'm talking about. That foot to foot thing could be a little exaggerated, right? Main man was almost doing a split, trying to stand between me and his father, right? And so when we slammed out, his father says to them, "What's wrong with you, man? Why you got your legs like that?" He was like, I was trying to touch his foot, but when we come up, you know, we kind of all got separated. He was like, "Don't worry about his feet. He a deviant anyway." So I was like, hold on, I'm gonna finish my weird real quick, but I'm gonna holler at you, homeboy. So I said, yo, listen, I was like, I said to the bro, I was like, yo, man, let me talk to you real quick. And he said, I don't talk to deviants. We were instructed by my sheikh not to talk to deviants, right? Now, mind you, I just got this phone call from his brother the day before. So when this happened, I'm like, wow. So I was in the masjid and I said, it was me, I think it was me and Ahmed, we was in there. I'm just trying to name familiar names that was present. And, you know, and I was like, yo, this is getting out of pocket. So I was like, yo, listen. And it just got to that point. I was like, man, yo, listen. I was like, yo, you a coward, man. Because you saying what you saying and you running off at the same time. Just say what you got. Whatever you got to get off your chest, you get it off and talk to me. You don't put little kids in there. I would never have my children disrespect you. I ain't got to talk to the people a bit. I was like, yo, you know what? I was like, you and your sheikh is punks. That's why you leaving, right? So brother Pommy was like, yo, don't even do that. Don't even stoop to their level. He said, what you do is when the son is getting out of pocket, you go see his daddy. So we went up to the masjid to go see daddy, right? Daddy was in there. So because I already knew what it was going to be, I said, yo, this is how we're going to do it. It's got to be organized, right? You would have thought we was going in to do a hit the way everything went down. So I said, look, you going in, y'all going in, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I'm gonna come in there once we like kind of like get main man to stop. Because I already knew the theatrics that was going to go down, which happened just like I thought it was. So it was only 3 of us. And so we went in there, and this was around the time we had wrote the book, Masal Muhammad, the first volume. I never forget this. And we had the Dean Intensive at Mansion Mujahideen. And somebody stole a box of books because we printed the book up, and they stole a box of books. And all of a sudden, it was getting around the city, and all of the Salafis was talking about the book because some of the issues in there was addressing the issues of Aqidah, right? And some of the issues was in there was talking about the issue with women only serving 1 mince from a khula versus 3, eating haram food, wiping over cotton socks, and so on and so forth. So anyway, so this thing started happening. So this is where the attacks started getting heavy. You know, they started getting heavy, and then they had this up in North Philly at the masjid. I ain't gonna mention masjid name, but those who know, they know. They had that event, something called the Salafi something beating down the Ashri, some madness, right? And they had this big lineup. They had this big lineup for all this stuff, right? And subhanallah. So they said, you know, they had this big program. So it was really getting heated. A lot of stuff was going on. Now there was a video with brother Abdurrahman Sandalani. He was in there. He spoke real briefly at the venue that day when we had that program, and he talked about Ibn Taymiyyah, and he talked about Imam Zahabi and what he said about Ibn Taymiyyah and so on and so forth. So now this started to spread like wildfire, right? So now all this is going on. I'm telling you, it's brewing. We already had beef because there was a situation where a brother had robbed a bank, right? And I understand you want to condemn Muslims that's doing evil, but this particular brother at the time, who was like the whatever, I don't know, he was a chairman, Amir, CEO, whatever, Germantown master at that time. He went, basically like on the what's the newspaper, Daily News, and he had a big article called "We Will Not Bury This Muslim," right? So we already had beef from that already, where we had, and they came down, and we had a meeting at Masjid Mujahideen. So all of this is happening all around the same time. I'm telling you, it was heated, right? They had this meeting, we came down, and we sitting there, and and they like, yo, who do y'all think y'all are? And and we was like, yo, y'all dudes is deviants, and and it was time for Maghrib, and me and Naeem wasn't praying behind him. Yo, it was hot, right? And one brother said to it, he said, I don't know what y'all did, but Germantown dudes from Germantown ain't never come down and call a meeting to meet with anybody in this. What the hell did y'all do? And it was tense. And when I tell you it was tense, that when people were walking through, if they knew, hold on one second, I just made a mistake and did something. If they knew you were from Germantown, they wouldn't even give you the salams. This is what I'm telling you. So this is like, and I'm looking at this joint, and I'm like, yo, this ain't cool. This ain't cool. We got to figure something out, right? So, and the whole purpose of the meeting was drawn because these brothers said they put some money on my head. They like, boy, you got a ticket on your head. They gonna get you, right? I ain't even tell my friend. Nobody knew, and it got so bad. I did the khutbah. I remember this. I did the khutbah, at the masjid in South Philly, and normally, people come, they address me. I argue with Salafis in the masjid. I was arguing with a brother one time at the end from the NOI because I was like, Elijah was a false prophet. He like, brother, posted up on me too. Like, he ready to do some karate move. Brother, you need to retract your statement. I was like, I ain't retracting nothing, my man. I don't know what you gonna do about it, but it is what it is, right? So that was common. I always expected that. Never had tight security around me. Never had tight security. This day, the brother came to me to talk to me. And the security swooped up and like, you can't talk to Imam. No, Imam, I understand. We were giving direct orders. It ain't going down. I'm like, subhanAllah. And the one thing, so when we had to close on me, we talked about it. I said, this is one thing y'all forgetting. He's like, what? I live in the middle of South Philly. So y'all gonna have somebody else on my door doing detail? So they was like, look, Imam, why you here? We're not gonna let nothing go down. You know what I'm saying? This, that, and the third. So anyway, so I know I keep jumping, but these are all the events that was surrounded, and centered around all of this. And took a chainsaw to him. SubhanAllah. Whoa. But whoa. But anyway, so what happened was with that whole thing that, that thing, it just intensified, and this is my point, it intensified. So we went to that masjid to go talk to that Imam. So I already knew the theatrics began as soon as he seen me come, right? I'm like, yo, I can't talk to you. I don't talk to the people a bit. I was like, this is who he got it from. The same way that boy was acting that day. I was like, okay. And he just, trying to get out the masjid and stuff. And I'm trying to like, kind of like block him so I could talk to him. I'm like, look, I can't talk to you. Oh, we don't talk to people in innovation, right? So we get to the door, and the only reason why he stopped, I said, you don't talk to people in innovation. I was like, now you don't talk. I said, it ain't got nothing to do with the deed. You're just a coward, you punk nigga, right? That's when he stopped, turned around. And he was like, well, I said, you a coward. I said, you sat right here. You mentioned me by name in this class. I'm here to talk to you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even really here for that. So then he started talking about, so I guess because when he started talking, he thought he wasn't trying to come at me because he's just like, kind of like figured like, the other brothers with me wasn't on what I was on. So he was like, I'll talk to you. And that's how he broke out the end of me. I'll talk to you, but I don't have nothing to say to you, Khalil. I don't have nothing to say to you. Right. And so he got in there and, and then we had a little debate about, the whole thing about the beliefs and stuff like that. But I was like, yo, look, I didn't even come up here for all that. What'd you come up here for? I said, well, I came up here for it. I was like, I came to tell you that, yo, you up here, you promoting this, that, and the third. I heard about what it was. Matter of fact, I was on the phone. Somebody turned the phone on while you were saying what you were saying. and I heard it. You know, I came up here to kind of like just tell you, like, yo, what you doing is going to cause a lot of, it's going to cause a lot of friction. And at this time, I actually kind of like it contributed to me losing a wife at the time, because I was married to a sister that used to be part of that community. And subhanAllah, that joint was ugly. You know what I'm saying? All behind this. And so, you know, so for all of these events, I'm looking at young men posted up in the same way we sitting here condemning young boys about killing each other over drill music. Well, they was showing up ready to let the bullets spark. They were ready. They were ready, because I promise you, I know, because I've been, I ain't nothing changed about me, but I've been that guy on that edge where you can be manipulated, right? All you got to do is put paradise in it. And like, paradise, you sure? Paradise, you sure? That's what Khalil say no more, right? So I already knew what it would have led to, right? And I'm saying, and the thing that made me, and I'm like, I'm gathering, all these people are gathering around now. These numbers are growing, people are gathering. And I'm looking, and I'm like, subhanallah, hold on. This is getting crazy. And the reason why it's getting crazy, why I'm looking at it's getting crazy, if I died today, and I'm not saying that Allah wouldn't, because Allah's going to take care of his deen, but if I die behind this, what happens? Do everybody go back to normal? Because that's what happened after Malcolm. Remember all them people that was with Malcolm? Malcolm, he was putting flame, he putting flame to him. He was speaking the truth. He was throwing flame out there. Everybody was behind him, rallied up. As soon as they killed him off, and that was the concept. That was the whole purpose of killing him. You killed him, you killed the movement. And so there's a continuity or a continuous legacy of the movement dies with the Imam. And so then you drop nothing behind. But people kept advising me, Imam, you just need to start teaching, right? Now, don't get me wrong, I was teaching before. But he was like, man, you got to start teaching. You got to start. Don't argue with the people. Teach them your position, right? Don't preach to them. That's exactly what they said. Don't preach to them. You preach to them on Juma, where you telling them about Allah and his messenger. But when you teach them about the proper belief. You teach them about the salah, how to pray properly. You teach them about tasawwuf. What's it about purifying the heart? In a classroom like that, when people are able to ask questions and receive response. See, when you want people to blind follow you, you always warn them, don't listen to that other person. And usually the person, they don't know how to defend what they believe anyway. Right? They don't know what to defend. They don't know how to defend. They don't know the proofs. Right? And so then what happens is you get more in tune and in line with calling people names. Oh, this dude Wahhabi, matter of fact, I'm gonna put that claim out there. A lot of y'all use that term. That term, default Wahhabi, it came from us here in Philly. Why? Because we had a lot of friends that was Salafi influenced and did not know that they were Salafi influenced, because they were attending. They didn't care. They just wanted to hear hadith. They just wanted to hear ayats, right? But when they started talking about issues of Aqidah, right? Because with that stuff, you can't just go at the common people. The common people, the common people, they're just taking and regurgitating what they're hearing, right? It doesn't mean you change the message. No. But the thing, you can't look at them at the same eye as somebody that's learned and that's really, purposely, spreading poison. Right? They're not the same. So we always refer to them as default. Default. You were a default Salafi. You were a default Wahhabi. Right? So, these things were going on. But as I realized, I said, we do have to step back. And we stepped back. And it was about learning and having people, more locked in on what they know. See, when you study controversies like this, the story that Imam Ibn Abi Zayd Qarawani tells about Imam Malik, where the young man came to debate Imam Malik. He said, yeah, Abdullah, I came to debate you, right? And he said, okay. Basically like, you couldn't debate me, so if I win, what happens? He said, I'll follow you. You know what I'm saying? He said, but if you win, then what happens? You have to follow me. He said, but what happens if somebody else comes along and they defeat you in the debate? He said, then I'll follow them. And Imam Malik said to him, go learn your deen. Because when you're solid and when you're solid on something, when you're solid on the truth, you don't keep swaying. And as time goes on, and what I've watched as a Muslim over 30 years, and even before and prior to that, even from sitting with my elders, every time a new movement, people were swaying with that movement. You were turning. Everybody left the NOI to join Imam Muhammad. They joined Imam Muhammad, then they started leaving him when he, married his daughter to the Kufar. And in the next, the Dawah of the Salafiyya was getting strong, right? Every time there's a movement coming, we're constantly swaying. But we're always ready to die over the truth, but it don't seem like we're too solid in the truth. Don't seem like it. And so then what happens is that you have all these brothers that's coming back from studying and so on and so forth. They're getting degrees and things of that nature. And they realizing like, yo, I done came back and I still got the same problem that I had before I went over. So guess what? They become the preacher man from the 80s where he drive a Cadillac while everybody else starving in the projects. Remember Reverend Knight? And so then that became the thing. And so then that was the birth of the, the institutions and the masters. And you found that these young men that were actually part of Jamaats, they no longer want to be part of Jamaat. They started their own thing. Right? I can tell you a story with one master in particular. It's still up and existing. But I remember, they basically took the Sadaqah box to go open another masjid. Came in there and just jacked the Sadaqah like a stick-up kid. Straight, yo, this is what we doing. Sadaqah box. Just took it. Took the money out of it. Opened another masjid. Masjid still there. Right? But these are the things you're talking about. This is what you're talking about. And when you revving people up with this type of ideology, we're not going to be able to establish anything by just arguing and identifying ourselves and lining ourselves up and claiming to be part of something, but and we're not really living up to it. We're making a claim, but we're not living up to it. Right? Most people love to, most people like to identify with me and Maliki, because of the connection with West Africa and so on and so forth. But most people don't know anything about Maliki fiqh other than praying Salah with your arms to the side and one taslim. Right? And then on top of that, the advocacy, for following the madhabs and so on and so forth, truth be told, hold on one second. I gotta get my charger out my bag. You see my bag? Never mind, I got it. But anyway, the advocating the following madhab. I'm not anti-madhab or anything like that. But what I'm saying, that advocacy, people only follow a madhab until it comes to marriage. That's when you really take madhab serious, right? And then you have the whole thing, like you had the whole thing, the sister, she need to have that contract because if she divorces, if the husband get another wife, then she get divorced. This is my right. No, this is your right to destroy your family because when black people get divorced, that joint is detrimental. Mom, pop be on two different religions. You ever see some of the kids that come out of a bad marriage? Right? So, we're treating, I don't know about no pit bull puppies. Malikis don't be having pit bull puppies. We just say it ain't nedges like the Shafis do.
I got a pit bull puppy.
I don't mess with dogs, man. It's still the hookup is just that is pure. You don't have to go wash your clothes.
You don't have to wash your clothes 7 times.
But look though, and he's right.
But
even
we
though
still gonna have a pit bull puppy to kill the rats.
So even though people, even though we joking around about it right now, people made a whole movement off of it. Dudes, I didn't see more Muslims have dogs than a little bit since people started getting introduced to the madhab. But at least when the people were kind of like influenced with this hadith type of orientation, they at least at the end of it, it was like, man, there's a hadith on it. Okay, and then people were misconstruing the hukam, the hukam, the ahkam, the judgment as if it's permissible to have dogs. It hasn't changed. And because people don't care about barakah, so it can make them know, never mind if the angels don't enter their house. Right? See, these are things, and this is what I'm talking about. Every time black Muslims set up and learn one thing, there's an opponent right next to it. People stop hanging photographs and pictures in the house. Then they got fatwas saying, about photographs and permissibility. I'm not arguing the two, but I noticed the change. People stopped eating halal food because there was a polar opposite, and your dua is your weapon. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Dua silahul mu'min." That your dua is the weapon of the believer. You people be eating haram food. Well, Sheikh Yusuf Qaradawi said, or Sheikh so-and-so said, it's okay, just say Bismillah. Bro, we begin to change our deen. And so then the resurgence start, and we start from square one with the Aqidah. Oh, well, they got deviant belief, and this person got deviant belief. Meanwhile, they don't pray. Meanwhile, they eat haram food. And I'm talking about those who claim to be Sunni too. They commit the same fornication that everybody else is committing. So this is the thing. It's really like.
May I have a question? You know, not to cut you off. May I ask a question?
No, go ahead. Well,
and this is for the people, right? Like the ones who, you know, like what you just say, man, Khalil, that you know they're eating, you know, haram food. Like, so if it was no reason for halal food, why do we have it?
Right. The food, the halal Muslims eat halal because of Allah Ta'ala.
Exactly. So it's the reason why halal is here. If it wasn't it wouldn't be spoken about in the Quran.
I'm glad you asked that question, because we think about this. This is part of we saying one thing and doing something totally opposite, or just not doing what we say we believe, right? Before all of the shakedom came on, you know, with everybody following this sheikh and that sheikh, and I don't follow this and I don't ascribe to that, and I only take from these scholars and all that. If you read the ayat in the Quran, you were concerned about eating halal. Now, back in the day, we used to think when you were Muslim, you ain't eat pork. Now, Islam, we done became a little bit more, we done upgraded, right? But like chicken is halal. A chicken is permissible to eat, right? There's a case where chicken can become haram for you. When is that? When it's not slaughtered according to the methodology that the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, the way that Allah Ta'ala mentioned in the Quran. There's the categories of different type of animals, you know, and the type of meats that can be consumed, right? So why is it that we're changing now? Like some guys even went to, there was this one fatwa, you know, from I forgot which Saudi sheikh it was, but the fatwa, they said all of the meat that is eaten in the Christian country is permissible, even from a Chinese, you know, basically like a Chinese store, right? So that was also advocated and promoted. So guess what happened? Everybody in Philly started going back and get their little $2, $3 platters from Ling Lings. You see, so this thing it's almost like every time you take a step forward, you take a step back. It's like you go backwards. And so, but then we got almost Christian-like, right? How do we get Christian-like? I know I grew up in the church, right? All the way up. I think the last time I ever attended church was probably like 10 years old. I got beat down for it. And it's funny because a lot of dudes like in my age range, I find out they all got the same story when we tell that story. But anyway, so we got to that point where people got kind of like Christian-like with it. And this used to be bad. And I remember this when I first moved to Philadelphia. And I remember I almost didn't get married to my daughter's mother. Because the whole thing was, he was Salafi, and I understood that. And they were having, he was having a sit down. He had to sit down, and he's like, Akhi, I just gotta ask you one question. Where's Allah? And I'm like, what? Like, yo, and I thought it was a joke, but people always tell me that, like, yo, they're gonna ask you these things. And so then I started seeing and being introduced that their movement was perpetuated upon that. The way that we going on now, the way that the Sunnis are going on now about, the Hanbalis aren't this, and and this person Ashri and this, that, and the third, we gonna start asking each other, yo, what's the 13 attributes? What do you believe? Right? You got to say it with me. It's going to be, you got to say the Shahada, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. And then what's the next statement? Allahu mawjood bila makan. And you have to say
go. There you go. That's it right now. That's it right there.
We just keep transitioning. We just keep transitioning. We just keep adding on. We just keep adding on. Huh? It's not the statement. The statement is not false. It's a true statement. But when you're perpetuating the person's their entry into Islam based upon that, or you being a Muslim based upon that, it's no different than the one that the people that you're counter reacting to asking you, where's Allah? Right? So this was like, this thing was just, it was just growing. Meanwhile, all this fighting is going on. All the young pups, all the little kids, they ain't paying attention. Parents are still letting the kids, watch rap videos and so on and so forth until they start hitting the age of being an adult. They know all the Arabic phrases. Mashallah, alhamdulillah, assalamu alaikum, jazakumullah khair. Yeah, I used to think everybody in Philly spoke Arabic. The same way that the Ansars used to speak Arabic in Brooklyn. Right? I remember I got in a fight with one of them dudes after I had came home from prison right at Jamaica Avenue station. I didn't forget that joint. That joint was that's a whole nother story. But anyway, what made me hit the boys, because he was trying to use Arabic. He was trying to use Arabic to well, it was two things what made me hit the dude. But the one was he was trying to use Arabic to like basically give his distorted understanding of Islam, and I wasn't good at Arabic at that time, but it was just like, dude, you BSing. And then the second was that he kept harassing my wife every day. So I didn't have no tolerance for him when I finally caught up with him anyway. So that's how we ended up getting in the fight right there on Jamaica Ave. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. But my case in point is that we're building up to this point and we're hot on that one point, but our lifestyle don't match what we so hot on. You get where I'm going with this? We're hot on that. We'll kill somebody over it, but then we're real lax with everything else. Our daughters don't cover, our women don't cover, our women wearing tight jeans. There's no reason why a man should do a double take at a woman, first of all, because he's responsible for lowering his gauge, but a double take at a married woman on top of that. These things are it has to be. It has to be. And the animosity that's being promoted. This times, I wear thobe every day, all day, right? Except for when I'm at work, I'm in my monkey suit. But when I go, you go on a place, people look you up and down. Assalamu alaikum. Like salam. What's wrong, man? Hey, what's happening? I went to one match that the brother said, he said, brother, can we help you? Can you help me? Well, I'm here to pray. What's wrong with you? But then I realized, I said, okay, I'm in a WD Muhammad match then. You see what I'm saying? So this is the thing. So now this is where, where we at with it. I understand. I know what, we didn't have necessarily had gangs, but we had that gang mentality. So I know what it's like. We're like, yo, you ain't from here. Who you over here with? If you ever been in New York, you know what I'm talking about. If you went up into somebody else's projects and you went to go look for a girl, by the time you go in the house, you might as well make a plan on not to come back out the house, because you got to get through the lobby and get through the mall to get to the curb, to get to the bus, or even to get to your taxi. So we'll be standing. You got to respect
that you're going to get jumped. You got to respect that you got to respect that you may get jumped once you leave out of that door.
Right.
You got to expect and respect it.
But now we drag that same attitude into Islam. This same attitude. I'll never forget. I don't know, Malik. I probably didn't talk so long. Malik that disappeared on me. But we did a Deen intensive in a masjid, Masjid Muhammad in Germantown, right? And the sisters in our Jamaat, they wear full veil and everything. Some of them had on bright colors and so on and so forth. Ain't no big deal. The objective is that they, have cover and display piety, right? And then the sisters from that masjid, some of them are wearing turbans and pants and et cetera, et cetera. We wasn't tripping on that, right? No, I wasn't. No, I wasn't wearing a duffel thobe. Actually, I don't really like them thobes with them collars. But anyway, so the thing, we got up in this masjid. We in this masjid, but I sensed, I smelt it in the air that there was it was like funny vibes that the women were, giving each other. So, we started talking about, so basically before we even got into the lecture, we began to talk about, differences in, difference of opinion and so on and so forth, and it kind of eased the tension after that. But it was kind of like almost like a standoff, like, oh, y'all rolling up in here with y'all thobes and niqabs. I know y'all ain't the boys from up the street. Who y'all? And that was the vibes. But we didn't, go in, the sisters, y'all need to have this, and brothers did that. It didn't change the fact that, the proofs and it didn't stop me from saying, speaking the truth that we follow. But at the same time, it's like, yo, be at ease. We not enemies of each other, right? This is where we almost go into it. You already got violence going on, and people are extremely volatile, right? You got people shooting people in the middle of traffic stops. So if you sitting there arguing about whose minhaj is proper, don't think somebody ain't gonna get popped. But the problem, one of the things that's different from now and back in the day is dudes don't belong to a masjid. They just belong to it's equivalent to a telecast, broadcasting. Where you follow that particular speaker, and but you probably the only Muslim in your town, right? So this is where we're at, and it's breaking us up, and a lot of times it's destroying families too. It's destroying families, right? A lot of Muslim leaders, I can't work with a lot of Muslim leaders because we'll start off good, everything will be going good, and then somewhere down the line, we on a chitlin circuit. Now we become like battle rappers dissing each other. I'm just telling you the truth. We become like battle rappers. It makes everybody in the comments laugh, but you become battle rappers, all right? That's exactly what we become. You become battle rappers. My clique versus your clique, all that stuff. It become like that, and so, this isn't helping the growth. It's stunting the growth of the Muslims. I think I done talked long enough. I ain't mean to talk so long.
You know what I said when I spoke to you about earlier, Imam Khalil, when I said to you that, a lot of things are going to change, especially with these young guys, that the young guys don't respect their elders, is because these young guys see that these elders just want to marry their moms and see how they treated their moms, and then their moms got divorced from these guys. How are they going to take advice from these guys that go to this masjid when you treated my mom bad?
Well, one of the things one thing I add to that, Saleh, we got to make that connection. You got to look at the political, the political realm and the era as well. The more you disconnect from your elders, the least amount of wisdom you're gonna get from them. Now, with some of them, alhamdulillah, you did disconnect from them because they ain't got nothing good to say anyway, right? But then those who do have something to offer. So what was really like one of the points, a starting point where I recognize is that was, I think I was probably like 12 years old, right? I just started selling crack, and this guy, I remember, I never forget this dude named Russ, but anyway, that's not important. So what happened was he had these huge, enormous hands, and so he was trying to steal some of my work from me, and he was sticking them in between his fingers and stuff. He was real crafty with it, and he was like trying to fast talk me, like, now you didn't give me that many, man. You just that and third. First time I ever raised hands to an elder was during that transaction. So the beginning of this, in my mind, the beginning of the disrespect, it began at that point. And so think about the disrespect that is being displayed. Like, I got stories for days. I guess part of it's becoming, because of position of leadership. But I'll tell you this one story. Because the point I'm getting to, there was two brothers in the masjid. One brother was a younger brother. We was probably all about the same age. I think I was probably about 28, 29 around this time. And the brother, he probably was like a couple years younger than me. He was arguing with a brother that was an old head in the masjid, right? And we lining up for prayer. So the brother like, yo, come on, man, shoulder to shoulder, foot to foot. And so then he was like, yo, man, don't touch my foot. Don't tell me what to do. This the old head. He's screaming on the young boy in the masjid. So he like, yo, man, this, that, and the third. So I'm like, yo, brothers, come on, like, chill out, man. We gotta make salat. So we make salat. It salam out. Thought it was over? No, it wasn't over. So the younger brother was trying to explain to him. It's like, look, man, there's a hadith. He's like, man, don't come tell me about no hadith. Y'all need to go take care of your kids. You know what I'm saying? Get your little nasty baby mamas. And then you got them all up in this black and wearing all that. Yo, he got like that. And so I'm watching the body language. I'm like, all right, they ain't doing it but arguing. And so then I look, and the brother sliding the stove up, and he pulled out his Glock. I took it from him. I was like, yo, hold up, Sheikh. We ain't gonna do that, man. This is an argument. Like, yo, go ahead. Hold it. He could have just said, yo, I don't follow that, or I don't care what hadith you follow, you go about your business. Nah, but what is motivating? What's pushing people to be like that? You see what I'm saying? So I'm telling you what it could be. I guess people live in places, and it's all theoretical to them. But I've seen what I've seen and what I've witnessed, and what the older brothers, they've been through. We ain't gonna forget about the era where all of the people that was known as Salafi was running around trying to take over masters and stuff. We ain't gonna forget about that. We ain't gonna forget about that because that was an era, that was a real thing. That wasn't fake. But the people who were defended, they were actually defended because these people were literally trying to change, take over the message. So it's not like a fake story. That's real. You know what I'm saying? And their response to it was proper. It was correct. You know what I mean? But this is what we're talking about. And so you push this, and then what I notice is what you push online, the same way that these kids are killing each other. I know Philly is very heavy at Instagram. I think New York and North Jersey is like Snapchat is their thing, but all of these things are happening. Why are we starting this thing up all over again to get people going, going that? We need enclaves, we need circles of knowledge. That's what we need. And people live there every day. You're interacting with these people will be the reason on how things will start to change, because people need to see that example. They need to hear the other party's argument. So I'm gonna stop. Y'all go ahead, man. I'm gonna stop.
I got a statement and a question. Can y'all hear me? Y'all can hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
All right, so let me see how I put this. So I mean, me, I'm a Philly dude, so I rep Philly. We got, all of us are like, I guess, honorary Philadelphians now. I mean, Amir, Khalil, upstate New York boy, Muhammad Ameen, Chicago, my man Saleh, Burlington. So like, far as me being Muslim in my whole life in Philly, I'm saying I came to a lot of different communities. I don't think it's one community that you can think of that I haven't like spent some time there. Like, from the Sufi communities, the real goofy Sufi communities, I'm saying, Salafi, Wahhabi, and alhamdulillah, I met, brothers like yourself, Amir, Khalil, Ahmed, my man Isa Abdul Haq, and start learning traditional Islam, because before that it was just typical what we have today, like in Philly, like default Wahhabi, default Salafi. We just was reading a lot of books, information overload, go to 52nd Street, pick up books and read them, what I'm saying? And I can attest to, what you were saying about far as, learning, because when y'all came, y'all was just teaching, the fara'id, the fara'ain knowledge, and brothers was picking it up and learning about madhahib and stuff like that. So you don't always have to, I say that to say you don't always have to teach. We're putting a label on it. We're putting a name on it. Like, oh, now you got people running around, Imam, saying you got to say you Ashari. Like, so how was that not equivalent to what the Salafis run around do? Oh, you got to say you Salafi. So now it's come to that point where, what I'm saying, we're using their same tactics, and it's like we stooping to their level. And no doubt, all four of us on this live right now believe Allahu mawjood bila makan. Allah just without a place, no doubt. Laysa kamithlihi shay. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's no kayf, bila kayf. If Allah says, yet, that's what it is, and it's no how to. We believe all of these things. But now, we got it to where people is becoming so sectarian that it's just like gang warring now. It's just like, so you just giving people rhetoric to fight and just to divide Muslims, what I'm saying, to just make Muslims just hate each other further. And then you try to come clean it up. We'll bring, different people on our platform that may be Salafi, this, that, and the third or whatever. But it's still, it's still doing more harm than I feel is doing benefit. You know what I'm saying? So how do we combat this? Like, how do we, change this now? Because we got Muslims just don't know which way to go. I don't know if I want to be Salafi. I don't know if I want to be Ahl Sunnah. What y'all talking about? I feel it's just further confusing people. Like, what's y'all thoughts on that?
What I can say is this. Good brother of mine. He said this at one time at the end of a lecture. he said that it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who gives hidayah. We give the dawah. It's Allah that gives the guidance. Only thing you can do is just promote the truth. It's an amanah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when Allah gives you the ability to speak the truth. If not, as the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, whoever's asked a thing, a thing from knowledge and the brother conceals it. Matter of fact, I learned this hadith and this action that went behind it from one of my teachers. He said that this was a way that when a scholar didn't want to teach you, he said you remind them of this hadith. If you go to someone with a question, of course it has to be a question of relevancy, in matters of deen, and you ask them and they refuse, they kind of like refuse you. The Prophet ﷺ said that they will be in a fire, all right, biting a bridle like a rope of fire. And he said you would this is exemplified. All right. They said in the hadith it was practiced like this. He said they said the Prophet ﷺ said they'll bite that bridle of fire like that. And so usually a person of of taqwa, the ahlul ilm, the people of ahlul dhikr, I'm sorry, they're characterized by two things: sound knowledge and taqwa. That's what they're characterized by. And so that person will know that, that transmitting sound knowledge, to the people is something that is old. It's a right, right? It's a right that the people have on you. But as far as the guidance, just like Allah Ta'ala will remind the Prophet Sallallahu your only job is to convey the message. Your only job is to convey the message. Now, the thing is, the way that we be going on and going about it, right, is like, like we almost ready for war. We're not ready for war. Because dudes stop using the word jihad in lectures and speeches. They be saying the J word, right? I remember what's the name? Hassan Somali. There's only one guy I mentioned his name because I was really surprised at him. He narrated that hadith at a lecture that he did in the masjid I was at. Umirtu qatl an-nas hatta yashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa yashhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. Right? He said, he translated what it means is the Prophet ﷺ said, I've been ordered to fight people. Qatl an-nas. I've been ordered to fight. Right? Hatta, until they testify tashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa tashhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. These are words of the Prophet ﷺ. He translated as, I've been ordered to struggle with people. I was ordered to struggle with the people until they take shahada. I was like, come on now. Right? So now you got this. I'm telling you, you gassing people up. We gassing people up. He gassing them up. You ain't gonna kill nothing, ain't gonna let nothing die. It be dudes that act on a solo mission by themselves. I seen the same thing in the 90s with the drug campaign. The same brothers that was out there putting in work, doing things to them drug dealers, they same brothers that's behind bars. And the Imam security, one who told who did it. It was him, Imam. You gassed him up. So this is what I'm saying. A leader, a true leader, he recognized, because your people's gonna be ready to be on go. Sometimes you got to be able to recognize, like, yo, pull the soldiers back because this ain't it right now. This ain't it. What are we really trying to accomplish? You're walking around, there's 1.6 million people in Philadelphia, about, I don't know, the numbers fluctuate anywhere between 40 to 100,000 that's claiming to be Muslim, right? So that, let's say 100,000, that keep an even number. What happened to the other 1.5? But yeah, we still sitting here fighting, fighting with each other, as if there's nobody else. And the only thing we're doing is recycling the same people. What happened to the other 1.5 people that ain't Muslim? Right? So it's not a problem when the empire strikes back. But the problem, this is my problem. I'm not even trying to tell nobody, yo, don't do it. But at the same time, I'm just saying, I'm trying to be that old man that's just sitting there like, well, if you go down that street, they got them loose dogs running down there. Now you can ignore me like I'm the crazy wino on the corner, right? So that, in reference to your question, City Farouk, what can we do? part of the problem is that we're spiritually lazy. People don't go to the masjid. People don't go to the masjid. Remember at one point in time, we were all praying in the masjid, no matter what the situation was. Now, we're doing curbside prayers, praying everywhere. It's not a total problem, but the masajid are abandoned. People aren't going to class like that no more. All of this stuff. So ignorance is going to prevail. And when ignorance prevails, guess what? It's easy to have a fight. You're going to pipe people up. It's easy to have a fight. We got a dude in Philly running around talking about your prophet. You got a dude running around Philly talking about your prophet. Telling women that she can pray on her mints.
I met that dude, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ran into him, man. I was coming out of Masjid Salam, right? He's sitting in like a Pontiac joint. Started coming, and you just started going crazy about everything he was saying. I mean, it was a horrible experience, but that's all I wanted to say.
The real solution, what we need to do, is too simple. It's too simple that it's complicated for people to do. Learn your deen, memorize your Quran, make money, get a job or a skill that's going to pay you for your skill, or start a business. Get your bread up. Build your institute, build your city, support your people. How come we got all these Muslims and there ain't that many Hafiz that's, you can count, that's in these cities? You got people that got nice voices that can recite, but they haven't memorized the entire Quran. Right? These are things that we need. These are milestones. Long as they Malikis, they know it's only Bible. Yeah, you wild, Sheikh. So, but this is the solution you're gonna come up with. You'll be effective when people start seeing in your neighborhood. You know what I mean? The effect, and you can say what you want to about Germantown, but then people started moving around the masjids. And the thing that I noticed about Philadelphia, if the masjid don't have people that live around it, that junk gonna be empty. When you around Masjid Jamia, you know why there's always people in Jamia? Because half the people that attend the Salat live in that area. That's why. There's another Hanafi Masjid up the street from Masjid Jamia. They have their own constituents. They don't even pray at Jamia. Right? So, you have these. We're trying to do all these things and we're not trying to build. We need families. But every time we teach a class dealing with fiqh, we always teaching our women how to get divorced. Right? Or we making some kind of obstacle to make it complicated for women to get married. Right? So what are we actually doing? What do we actually do? Are we bringing the people together? Are people getting married? When's the last time we celebrated somebody having a marriage? When's the last time we celebrated somebody having children? People don't even have children because most people ain't married. And the people that are having children, they having kids out of wedlock. We'll throw a baby shower, but we don't think nothing about a aqiqah. We won't leave that jahiliyyah. Sometimes we don't leave it because we don't think it's important, because our culture is more important than establishing in creating a culture for the Sunnah of the Prophet. So this is the problem. This is the problem. And then we're looking for everything to help us raise up. And so we think our iman is raised up. Your iman does not get raised by ilm al-kalam. Your iman does not get raised by ilm al-kalam. Your iman will not grow by you being able to refute a Salafi. I'll say it again. Your iman does not grow by you being able to refute a Salafi. But your iman will grow when you start having more certainty. And then we teach about usuluddin, and nobody ever emphasizes on the semi'at. When you talk about the issues of akhirah, of the afterlife, when you talk about the barzakh in the grave, that transitional period between the barzakh, in the wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, that transitional phase where the person will be questioned about their behavior in this life, right? These things are being neglected. It does not raise your iman in that way. But when you read the Quran, you read the letters of the Quran, you get thawab, you get reward for reading the Quran, and it increases you in iman. That's what increases you in iman. The books of kalam and the books of dealing with the aqidah, it makes it certain. You are certain, and you like your introductory level, right? Because some people will approach and learn a logical proof before they actually understand and know the proof from the Quran, right? There's some things There's some things that you'll be able to read the Quran and you'll get that fahm because Allah Ta'ala is the one who gives it, gives you that understanding, right? You may sit in a class and you're learning the 13 attributes and things of that nature. You know what the 13 attributes is based on? If you sum them up, right? All of them are stem from one from the other, right? The main thing, right, is that one, Allah Ta'ala is mawjood. Allah existed before time. Allah Ta'ala is ongoing even after time ceased to exist. Wal mukhalif lil hawadith, and he's different from his creation, right? Now, I'm not saying all the other attributes aren't important, but if you was to give it like a summary, go back and study Soullutionz Ikhlas. Go back and study Soullutionz Ikhlas. You will get all of those points. All of those attributes is tied up in those 4 ayats, right? Those are tied up in the 4 ayats. So this is the thing, and maybe some of this stuff may be a thing, maybe a thing that some of my teachers is rubbing off, because like one teacher we got ready to study and everybody was like, yo, Sheikh, what about Aqidah? What about the Aqidah? He said, Aqidah, Qul huwa Allahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad, right? Then he mentioned, he basically through the ayah, he tied in each one of the 13 attributes, right? Throughout that. And he said, okay, Khalas, now let's move on to fiqh. Right? So this is what I'm saying. You teach the person that this will be their introductory level, but the Quran is their ultimate lesson book. That's the ultimate life. That's where you get the Aqidah from, the sound Aqidah. That's where it comes from. You deal with kalam to be able to correct those issues. When a person comes to an ayah and he says, well, doesn't yet mean hand, or does it mean this? Then you'll be able to correct that particular issue, right? But most people, when they read it, they don't even ask about those attributes. But when they attend these classes, then people put that idea in them. And when they come to you and they say, hey, Sheikh, what do you understand about this particular ayah? And then you tell them. You tell them according to that path, because you're only going to tell them according to the path that you've been trained in, right? So this is the thing. So this is what we get into. This is for all those who are wondering, like, yo, how do we and what are we supposed to do? We got to start interacting with people. Most of us are on this app, online, and we don't interact with other people. That's a big problem. That's a huge problem. We have no interaction with other Muslims. There's some people that go through a day and don't see a Muslim. The only Muslim they see is online. And then when they get online, they get to fighting. And they walk away. Some of them don't even own a Quran. They don't own a Quran. And we stop becoming interested in giving people, people a Quran. We know that the translation is not the actual Mus'haf in and of itself. But the reality is that as a way it was bringing people along up to a certain point, right? So yes, you're going to teach, and if you establish halakas, the different halakas, you're going to go, right? I know a lot of people, they got their prejudices against 2 masses in the city, one Germantown and one AICP, right? They got their prejudice against them, right? When you go in their buildings, their system is set up. Their program is set up. When you come in Master Uthman and Fodio, the program is set up. You know what you're getting. You don't have to worry about mixing with anybody that ain't up on that, on a proper creed. Because usually they stay away anyway. They already know. You don't have to put out no declaration. They already know. Right? So this is what I'm saying. You have to begin to create enclaves. Most masters, some of the greatest masters, they usually started from a few individuals studying in a particular area, and then it grew and they established a master there, or they established the madrasa there. We're not getting nowhere. Most of us are under the roof. And when I'm saying most of us, and when I'm saying us, I'm talking about Black Americans and Latinos. We're under the roof of immigrants. We don't have no power anyway. And then we want to go and argue with them like it's the government or something like that. Hey, put us on the board, on a board of directors. Now, when we take our lazy behind, our cheap behinds, and put the money together, buy a house and open up a masjid. Why stay around somewhere and force your way to be treated fair when they mistreat you anyway? These are actual solutions. Why don't we begin to put these things into practice? It's too much work. It's too much work. It's easy to talk. So, you know, I'm sorry I didn't talk so much, y'all. Y'all go ahead. I'm done for the night. I ain't even going to cut on and answer no more questions. I'm just going to show questions if people got them. Y'all got it. Assalamu alaikum.
Go ahead, Malik, got something to say?
No, I'm sitting here eating my sugar puffs, man. I ain't got nothing to say.
No, but you know, you're right. You're right. You know, Khalil, you know what I mean? But you know, but one thing, you know, like I said, you know, I'm very interactive with the young guys and the young fellas, right? But how you said that, you know, we got to listen to some elders, right? But we have to understand the generational gap now, right? As I explained earlier today, I explained that before you knew everybody on your block, you knew everyone. You had no problem speaking to Mr. Harry. You had no problem speaking to Auntie so and so. You had no problem doing this. Everyone knew everyone, and everybody knew that the intentions, you know, their intentions was very, you know, was well towards you, right? Now, as I was saying that, these young guys don't care about these old dudes because at the end of the day, they don't care about them. So how can I show respect to you if you don't have that same respect to me? And as I said, you know, we talking about now, our generation is over, right? You know, I'm still in that, you know, that what was it, the middle child, as J. Cole say, the middle child stage, where I could talk to the elders, I could see what's going on with the young guys, and I could bring it. Look, this is the problem that's going on here. As I was saying, that a lot of times these young guys don't respect nobody. These people they see their mother, right? They see their mother. As you said, like, we're not getting married. When the last time we had was happy that somebody got married? The sister's marrying 10 times. The brother's marrying 10 times. The brother's marrying 15 times. The sister's marrying 10 times, 12 times, 13 times, right? This young brother, we forget that the young man, he's seeing this dude run in and out of his house every single day, yelling at his mom, disrespecting his mom, eating the food, not helping her with bills. She's struggling. He don't care about nothing's going on. He's angry. That young brother's angry. So he's going to take it out on the world. We forget about what these young men are seeing because we're thinking with our head. We forget all about what these young men are seeing.
That's a good point.
We see more failed marriages in our community than successful ones. We see way more failed marriages than successful ones.
That's a good point.
And you think these young men don't see that? They don't hear their mom crying in the room some days. They don't hear their mom crying. So these young men
you know what? When you saying that, so this is something I used to think about a long time ago. It's an American problem with America all the way around the board. A lot of the children rebel against their parents, but I believe that Islam has the solution as needed to change that, but we don't really rely on that, because one of the things, when you said that, one of the things I thought of was with the Prophet ﷺ, where he mentioned about the elderly that doesn't show any mercy to the youth, and the youth that doesn't show respect to the elders. They're not from us. Laysa minni. They're not from us, right? We're not following his path. I don't think we really care if we're not on the path of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you know, generally speaking, for a lot of people, because a lot of people deliberately go against the sunnah. And going against the sunnah isn't meaning that you follow a different hadith or something like that from the madhab.
But we know we gotta follow. We know we gotta follow the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We know that, right?
But we're still falling short in that.
We're falling short because we're chasing our desire. Now we got to talk about ourselves. We're still chasing our desire. The problem is we're chasing our nafs. We're chasing our nafs. That's the problem, right? That's the problem. We're still chasing our desires. It's not cool to be a practicing Muslim. It's not cool anymore. It's not cool. You know why it's cool? Because we have too many Muslims out here still dibbling and dabbling in the streets. It's too many. We have something on Facebook called the Haram Police.
No, reverse that, Saleh. Reverse that. It's cool to be Muslim and do haram, because that's what all the Muslims doing. So you got
That's
people
what I'm
that's
saying.
Muslim now
That's what
that
I'm saying.
do
It's
haram,
not cool, but
and
it's
they
not
don't
cool to
see
be
no wrong with it because it's the norm now with the Muslims.
right. That's what I'm saying. It's not cool to be a practicing Muslim, a practicing one, a real life practicing one. If you do too much ibadah, they look at you like you're weird. You're a weirdo. You're a weirdo. And that's not cool anymore. Right? And it's not cool anymore to do that. It's not cool to be a practicing Muslim anymore. It's not cool. I was watching something. I was watching some on Instagram. You know, they got the little young girls and the guys in their clothes doing a little dance when they tap themselves, shaking their butt. Like, this is cool. This mannerism is cool to be shown. You might as well bend over, shake your butt, shake your fanny. We might as well do everything underneath the sun because it's cool now to be that way. Before, we used to check each other. That's why I said earlier, we used to check each other. Bro, you tripping. I can't be your reminder anymore. I can't say, bro, you wrong, bro. That's messed up, bro. Nah, you wrong. And you be like, nah, you right, bro. My bad. I need to do better. It ain't about that no more. Because in the same breath, when we say, yo, bro, we need to do better, you got somebody gassing on, nah, man, you good. You get 100 million, you goods. And we're going to follow that one that allow our desires to peak with that. Oh, well, these guys over here, so I'm going to start doing what they say. And that's the problem. We know that Islam is the cure. We know that. As you said, Malik, that we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exists. We know, all of us know this. We know this. But the problem is getting our boots dirty with practicing Islam. We gotta really start practicing.
I'm gonna start shooting some of the comments and questions up for y'all to reply to, inshallah, before we get too late on here.
This person said we have gotten too caught up in attention, attention grabbing, becoming social media guru, and we have not emphasized following the Quran and Sunnah. Now, we emphasize following the Quran and Sunnah. That's what the Facebook gurus do. Emphasize doing it. But when you meet these Facebook gurus, you be like, yo, bro, you ain't all what I thought you was. That's the problem. We telling people, as Malik said earlier, we telling people to do what we're not doing. This is the key. It all falls back to that. We got to start making it cool to be better than what we was yesterday. It's okay to be the same person that you was yesterday.
I'm gonna end on this note, inshallah. Because I'm a seerah guy. Everything with me goes back to the seerah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, and just like we're trying to implement the 10-point Medina program and things like this. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he established Medina, and in Medina, everybody was hands on. It was all hands on deck. They built the masjid, they built the souk, the marketplace, and and they had people that of Tijara, the companions from the Muhajirin. They was traders and businessmen, and they was putting their money together, so much so that when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was called for jihad, like the Battle of Tabuk, you had Umar who came and thought he was going to outdo Abu Bakr that day, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in Surah Al-Hadid to race or vie with one another in good deeds, and for a garden which is wide as the heavens and the earth. So Umar, he said he was going to outdo Abu Bakr this day. He came and he gave everything that, half of everything that he had. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he gave everything that he had. And when it was asked, what did he leave for his family? He said he left Allah and his messenger, and that's sufficient. Uthman ibn Affan radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he gave so much. They said that he saw the dust of the camels and the horses of Uthman entering into Medina. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, Uthman, he can do whatever he wants after this day. Allah has forgiven him. So the companions, they were about putting their money where their mouth was. So how we're talking about actions is louder than words. We can be fundraisers all day. Okay, we're fundraising. What are we doing with the money? What are we building? Are we building institutions? Are we building establishments? Or are we just sitting around? Because I came on phenomena of fundraisers. I love Imam Siraj Wahaj to death, and all of us do. But when Imam Siraj come, you kicking out some bread. Imam Siraj gonna collect the money. You know what I'm saying? And look at all of these communities that Imam Siraj, have, the foreign communities, and they rich now off of Imam Siraj coming and fundraising it. And what if that is going back to our community? So until we begin to have something tangible that, the people see, that want to make them come to Islam because it's flourishing, because for majority of us, that's where we're at. We're people of what we see, of dunya, so if we come and we have institutions, we have things where people can, become economically stable and politically stable, controlling our own politics in our neighborhood, stuff like the nation was talking about, do for self, and, black nationalism. Until we have things like this, something that's solid and tangible that we can see, I think, we're just going to be a joke among the people. They're like, what besides, the belief, because people, the belief, yeah, we believe in Allah and His Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and we would practice the religion, so it'll just be something that for that person, like people taking Shahada, it's just personally for me. Just like for me, for being Muslim for over 30 years, it's almost like it, it's personal for me. Besides, our Jamaat that we have, and we're building and we've been growing for years. But a lot of people, it's just personal for them, just my Islam, because it's no community, nobody's building, it's bringing nothing to the community. No, the Muslims aren't making the society better. So a lot of the non-Muslims is like, why should I be Muslim? Muhammad and, Jabbar down the street, they selling dope just like me. Khadija and Fatima, they out in the club shaking their butt just like me. So until we begin to truly, reform ourselves with, being people of Islam, a reformation, and, start doing and having something that we can build for the people, is just going to be like a laughing stock, and Allah knows best, man. Allah help us.
So you got some closing remarks? I'm trying to see if I missed any questions that anybody asked. I think we answered most of them.
No, we at the 2-hour mark.
Yeah, I think we answered most of the questions though, especially the Empire Strikes Back. I'm still tripping over that. One day, we gotta kick it, man. I'm gonna come to Florida. I gotta come down there and hang out with you.
We're Farouk in Tampa, right?
I think so.
Farouk, you in Tampa, OG?
Yeah, we go down there, man. Go sit by the water or something.
Yeah, because I definitely need sandy toes, man. I need sandy toes, man.
I got Washington, Florida guys though. They throw you to them Gators, boy. But inshallah, Malik, give us that dua, take us out of here, man. We've been at about 2. And bring the sunscreen. Inshallah. Now, Hakeem, let's go. Bismillah. I said, that's one of the ways that you build brotherhood, man, and tighten bonds, man. Travel, eat together, do business together, Inshallah. Are you ready, Malik?
Yeah, I ain't a heavy dua, boy. I read something real fast though.
All right, inshallah. Come on, man. You got that Egyptian flavor in you. Like Sheikh Kisk.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب ربنا إنك جامع الناس يوم لا ريب فيه إن الله لا يخلف الميعاد اللهم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Barakallahu feekum. Everybody enjoy your night. Assalamu alaikum.